You know, Ramon, they say the ultimate goal of these wokey lefties is that they want to come for our children. They want to do things to them that most of us wouldn't agree with. Well, I for one am waiting, mate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Morning Shot. Sorry, Byron is putting his gun back. Hello, Byron. For those who might be watching, we're talking about, of course, Pierre De Vos. For those who might not know who he is a professor of law at UCT, and he was caught retweeting let's say, a disturbing video of child abuse that was pornographic, and let us say, what is the correct term for it these days? Minor
Minor
attraction?
attraction.
You can't say the P word anymore. It's now minor attraction. So this is a huge deal, of course. But of course, for Mr. De Vos himself, he says, well, actually, he was hacked, and therefore he's not responsible for what happened. I just want to go quickly through his tweets where he says his account was hacked and he tweeted pornography. He deleted the tweets and changed his password. But the AfriForum youth now says there will lodge criminal charges against him. Not surprising given the criticism are leveled against a hate speech case against Mr. Malema. Now, I'm sorry, Byron, if you were caught tweeting something illegal, that it was a crime in the first place, you don't say, oh, of course, any opposition to that will fail because I've been critical of the person laying the charge. That's not how the law works. I would hope that the law professor would understand that.
Well, you would hope that the constitutional law professor would understand that. And one has to imagine what would happen if, I don't know, Adam Roots, for example, tweeted out something calling a bunch of black people the K word. I can imagine even if he was hacked, the minute he said he was hacked, everybody would be like, sure, of course you are. And the woke mob would come to cancel him almost immediately. But, I mean, we're not here to debate the merits of the wokeocracy, as they might want to call themselves. And I suppose we are very used to seeing rules for thee, but not for me. Though
Yeah.
that being said, it's a little bit shocking that we have a university professor in the University of Cape Town who is still employed despite doing what he has done.
Yeah, so, and let's be frank, we don't believe he was hacked at all. Because if you continue with his tweets, he says nothing will come of the AfriForum complaints and he will continue to criticize them when appropriate. Of course, what that has to do with anything, I'm not too sure. And then he goes on to say, Twitter says, apart from Cape Town, my location history includes Miami and Harrisonburg, which is both in America. And that is really the end of the thread. Now, I've been hacked before, right? You get an email saying that you've been hacked. Your password is normally changed. And then not one tweet is sent out. Quite a few tweets are sent out. And it takes quite a few hours to get your account back after much back and forth. He hasn't shown anything to suggest he was hacked in the first place. If his tweets were sent from America, it's possibly because he was using a VPN at the time. That is the easiest way to see your internet activity occur somewhere else. And if you are using a VPN, why are you using it in the first place?
I would find the solution that he was on a VPN whilst looking at, should we say, material that would be deemed disgusting by most of us ordinary individuals, probably quite plausible because nobody in their right mind would sit on a non-VPN type system when looking at material that is blatantly illegal. With that being said, I think you're right. I mean, I've been hacked before as well, and it's usually 50 million tweets of some rubbish to disguise and make it more harder for you as the individual to find the, how should we say, the fraudulent tweets in there, because there's just too many of them.
Yeah.
To actually find one tweet just be done and then the guy leaves your account seems a bit suspicious. But, it could happen. And in good fashion, rather than report his accounts as being hacked, he says he simply changed the password. So, okay. Well, you can take a point of view whether or not you believe him. I'm inclined not to. But let me tell you who else doesn't believe him. And that would be the EFF.
So I think it's important to state it's the EFF Student Command, who we don't really see eye to eye with on most occasions, but in this particular one, yeah, we quite we quite like them because their statement is, well, I don't know if I can read the whole thing in the video because we will be demonetized and banned forever and ever and ever. But the important thing is that the student command do note with disgust the minor attraction behavior of Pierre De Vos, the professor of law at UCT, and therefore they eviscerate him completely. They say that he aided gruesome acts in a country like ours, which is, replete with gruesome acts against real people. And also, most importantly, and the thing we should focus on in this video, Byron, is that they are equally appalled by the hesitation of and the lack of action from the executive of the University of Cape Town. Because according to the EFF, if it was a black professor, they would have been distanced without a single thought. But because it's a white guy, nothing is going to happen to him. But, I mean, I agree that the UCT should say something, but not because the guy's white or black, but because it's a fucking crime. Like, it is that simple. It is a crime what he did. And the UCT is actually under a legal duty to report it.
Yeah, so I'm going to edit the EFF statement to actually better reflect what it should have said, which is that the individual in question is a well-known leftist. And as a well-known leftist who agrees with all of the woke progressive bull rubbish, he is clearly protected by the cathedral. Had it been a black professor, who quite often we find that a lot of black professors are very based and they are not part of the cathedral, they don't buy into all this Western progressive bull crap, they probably would have been dismissed very quickly. And as a very woke progressive institution, the University of Cape Town is, how should we say, overrun by these type of leftist type teachers. And so it is unsurprising that the university has done nothing but protect their own. And I think that this individual knows full well that the cathedral does not eat its own. It protects its own. And had this been a black professor, he probably would have been based as hell. And he probably would have done something like that, in which case they would have been like, we're not going to protect him because he's not part of the cathedral.
Indeed.
However, if he was part of the cathedral and black, I have no doubt that the university would be doing exactly what they're doing right now. And that is nothing.
Nothing. But interestingly, this EFF statement poses a question for us, a very good one, because at the end of it, they do call him Pierre De Vos, which is obviously not a nice thing to say. So if he wasn't hacked, perhaps Mr. De Vos should sue the EFF for defamation, right? Because if what they're saying, I mean, this statement clearly defames it. It is clear defamation if it is
100%
untrue.
defamation.
If it is untrue.
Correct.
So if it is untrue,
he's going to have to prove it.
You will have to prove defamation, or he can just let the EFF student command have the last word, which, by the looks of things, is exactly what he wants, because his bullshit excuses and evidence are not evidence at all of what he is claiming, that he was hacked. So, Mr. De Vos, if you do watch this one day, the only way to show that you were hacked is to show us the SMS or email to show that your password was changed from another location. That is step number one. And number two, also, you need to make sure that your security settings are set to two-factor authentication. I mean, that's just, basic cyber security. But that is really the end of this particular video. We have no regard for Mr. De Vos at all. And if he doesn't prove otherwise, we might have a new name for him, quite similar to what the EFF have for him as well.
Yeah, and all I would say is that if these people come after my kids and do to my kids what he has retweeted and suggested he has, how should we say, endorsed another do to another kid, you saw what will happen.
And in conclusion, we should actually take Mr. De Vos's advice himself, where in 2015 he says, "Don't tweet while drunk. Nobody believes you were hacked." We fully agree with Mr. De Vos. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.